What's up, guys? Welcome back for another EVE Online video. There's going to be an episode for the Solo Omega. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit today about suitcasing and what that really means for logistics and kind of moving around and everything like that, because most of the time I like to just kind of keep my assets at a pretty reasonable level and to keep myself from having to like repackage ratting ships or just really any ships in general. I use bigger capitals basically to just load everything up and jump it where I need to with my Sino alt. So I'm just gonna give you guys an update of what I've done over the past few days. I've done an export to Jita, and I'd say the first few days being in null in this series, I've netted around 4 billion. Just doing Filipino complex, 6 of 10s, 7 of 10s, 8 of 10s, and then I export all that to Jita. That was about 4 bill, and then this is a 1 day of just ratting and doing relic sites. So they had a really good day. 975 million, almost a bill. Haven't really been able to rat a whole lot. I've been working on kind of expanding my PI, starting to get more to the point where I can start doing fuel blocks again. So I've been doing a lot of ice mining. Well, not a lot. I did like a couple hours. Just started to kind of like do that, and that also allows me to just kind of keep fuel in stock for all of my ships and everything like that. So I'm kind of sticking to the once per week export. So probably Friday or so, I'll take all this and export this, and depending on how much cubic meters it is, I'll either take the RIA, or I'll jump it with the Widow, or I can just gate it with the crane. Also managed to pick up a Rourke hull and then a Thani. This Thani is partially fit, but really it's just meant for a suitcase. The Rourke is the main suitcase here. I usually use the RIA, the Rourke, and the Thani, and then the Phoenix to do all that kind of stuff. So just to give you kind of an idea of how this works. We're essentially using the maintenance bay on these bigger ships, but what's nice here is I use the Rourke's drone bay as just basically like drone storage, essentially, to keep things organized. The Rourke itself can only hold like industrials, so usually these are the ships plus like an ethanol or whatever that'll go into the Rourke. We usually just fill this up as much as we can, and then the ratting ships and everything. So like we'll just switch to the Thanatos here, and we're gonna be doing the same thing here. The maintenance bay here just basically will take, this maintenance bay is also a million M3, so I'll be taking basically this stuff. That's 957, so we'll put that in a Thani. And the Tengu you can either store or you can just repackage it and put in the RIA. It really just kind of depends on what you want to do. I think we have, you can't put like ratting ships essentially in the Rourke. That's why I like the Thani a lot, because, or not the Thani, but the Tengu a lot, because you can just repackage it, put it in the RIA, and you're good to go. And I have other ships here too, like I have a Hulk and stuff like that, that's just not in station right now because we're doing ice mining. But it would go in here as well. And then the Phoenix is also not at location either, so the Phoenix is also just one of those things that I use to carry more ships around. So essentially that's what suitcasing is you train your tunes into flying these ships with these maintenance bays, and it allows you to just carry these ships around packaged. And then the RIA, essentially, if I'm doing a big move, I'll load basically everything into the Thani, the Phoenix, as far as ratting ships and stuff like that. Anything that doesn't fit in the maintenance bay, and I'll jump those wherever I'm going. And then the Rourke will essentially handle the mining ships, the industrial ships, and then the RIA will just handle like all the loose mods and everything. So essentially all this stuff that's like left over and like the asset stuff and all this will just get thrown into the RIA, along with any ore that I have any export, anything for PI. So like this ethanol would go into like the Rourke, and I'd probably load these command centers. Usually I don't drag command centers with me because they're cheap and they take up a lot of space. But if I have room, I'll kind of stick them in cracks. And then the ammo, I'll throw in like a fleet hanger. Same with the fuel, depending on how much I have. And then Sino ships will usually get thrown into the RIA as well, where these assembled Sino ships will essentially go with the RIA anyway, so that as we go where we're going, we can kind of keep the Sino wall stocked out. As far as like goals for this week, I'm basically just gonna keep getting keep doing routing sites, do some like complexes today, and then keep doing relic sites and everything. You just kind of keep pushing. I don't really have an immediate goal right now for what we're saving ISK for. I pretty much have every ship I need for now. I might actually just start saving for Leviathan, buy that hull, just so I can show you guys a little bit of Titan stuff down the road. But as far as just day to day, we're just kind of grinding out ice for fuel, and we'll probably start making fuel blocks, doing PI. So we'll try to like do as much of that as we can in the future. But we'll probably do a little bit of ratting in this episode, just to kind of give you guys some ideas on what other types of unrated sites and stuff look like and everything like that. But I want to give you guys an idea of like suitcasing and kind of like what I do if I had to just like kind of pick up everything and kind of move all at once. So by having like a bunch of like capital sized ships or things that I can like move stuff around in, it allows me to actually like kind of play with multiple different things without limiting myself too much. Because essentially between the Rourke and the Thani and the Phoenix, I got about 3 million M3 that I can carry ships with, and this is only about 1.4 or 1.5 million cubic meters. So I have a little bit more room to play with when it comes to getting more ships and things like that. All right, so I'm gonna be showing you guys the Garista's military complex today. This is a unrated site, but I'm doing it just so I can clear the SIGs. It's 2-pocket. A lot of battleships, so I'm taking the Golem with me. And then it has a chance of an escalation and also a Dread Garista spawn, which can drop modules. So we're going to see, we're just going to go ahead and take it out. There's an EM Smart Bomb, I think, in like Pocket 2 that does a little bit of damage. But shouldn't be anything too crazy to worry about. And this bubble just basically indicates that the gate is locked. I'm going to sort this by... I'm going to sort that by class. We're just going to get a good, like, a full 10 targets. Let's just start clearing these guys out. With we're going to start with javelins, because we're going to just try to stay a little far away from everything. I figure we did all the scanning this morning for everything, and we did a few relic sites. I think we pulled like 30 mil from the relic sites, but all the relic sites I did were essentially already cherry picked, so I cleared the remaining loot from them just to clear the SIGs. And as the day goes on, we'll start doing, as more SIGs start popping up, we'll start doing more. We forgot to turn on Bastion, so we're going to be fighting a little bit till we clear some of these cruisers out. That's one thing you don't want to do, is don't ever forget to turn on Bastion. It happens to me all the time, actually. I forget to turn Bastion on all the time. But we'll be good to go. Essentially just going to be taking this entire wave out. Once we kill everything, we can unlock this gate. And we're pretty close to it, so we can get through it pretty quick. I figure, try to start showing you guys these different unrated sites that I don't think people talk too much about. I mean, obviously they're not as good as rated sites, but they can I think it'd be pretty decent to run. Some of them are not worth it. Some are. It really just kind of depends. I'm not splitting my launchers on these battleships just because I want to kind of like take everything down a little bit evenly. Because we're in Bastion, I'm going to go ahead and select approach on this gate just so when we come out of Bastion, we can start moving in that direction. We'll do a little bit better next pocket since we don't want to wait so much on from losing Bastion. These are a lot easier than 8 of 10s and stuff like that, so just something we have to get through. I don't usually use my Hornets for a lot unless there's like frigates, because they're not going to do a whole lot against these battleships anyway. So our range on these is 109, which we want. The next pocket we want to try to like shoot, as long of a distance as we can. We're about to start a reload process here, and as we start dropping these battleships, then we'll catch up on our shield here since we're taking damage off the field. I'm going to target up this last guy. You get the next 4 started. I haven't run one of these in a long time, so I'm actually more curious about what kind of loot I'll get. If I don't get the dread, if you don't get the dread Reese spawn, I'm pretty sure you get the escalation. So it's like either one or the other. Not necessarily interested in the escalation right now. More or less interested in just the loot. But we'll see how we go. And as they drop, we're going to just keep kind of going to the next target here. And that will unlock and will allow me to move down a little bit and go and jump through, which will build our cap back up and just kind of get everything sorted as needed. I guess it was a good example of like, if you did miss Bastion or if you did take a little bit of damage and you got the stuff off the field, you can kind of bounce back quite a bit. You just gotta be careful to catch it before it's too late. These last 7 targets, these 4 about to go down, so we'll be good to go. And just like on raid sites, you can just kind of come out of Bastion when you only have like 2 or 3 battleships left and start moving. I'm not gonna do it on here because we're only 3k away from the gate, so we're just gonna like stay until we're pretty much done here. Once I have a few volleys in the air, which will cap these guys off, I'll go ahead and cancel Bastion. We'll probably go this round and then probably another Bastion round before we're ready to cancel it out. I'm just looking at the debris stuff and making sure there's nothing to destroy. There's a structure that has to be destroyed, I think, in the next pocket, if I remember. It's been a minute since I've run. I don't really prioritize unrated too much. So we're doing a reload on all. Let's see how this goes. I think all the volleys are out of the air, so get these guys taken care of. You could like switch to, like, when they move into this close of a range, you can switch to Scourge Rage, which is going to speed it up, but I'm going to just kind of stay on Jav right now because I'm not necessarily in a hurry to get anything done. You can also, when they come close, if you don't switch out Jav, you can switch, one of your guidance computers over to a precision script instead of a range script, which can help. But I usually don't do that unless it's lower class ships like frigates and stuff like that, where there is a difficulty with application. So destroy the control tower. That brings out the tower wave. We're kind of inside the bubble already, so we can kind of move a little bit closer to that direction. We got a lot of frigates to worry about, so I'm gonna try to like these battleships are gonna target up faster, but I'm gonna see if I can get launchers on these frigates, and then we're gonna kind of micromanage some drones to help get the frigates down as well. I'm gonna kind of prioritize things that are e-warring me for the most part, just to kind of keep the thing moving. Depending on how the my experience, depending on how the loot is and everything in this one, I'll decide whether or not I'm going to do the second one in this system or not. But it's a little involved, and if it's not really like good loot or whatever, we may or may not do it. I'm not sure. I think the main purpose of this was to kind of show you guys what this unrated looks like. Doing a second one isn't going to necessarily give you any additional information. As these frigates drop, I'm just going to start assigning launchers to the battleships. We got one more frigate we're working on. Drones are already on it. And we'll put all the launchers on battleships just to kind of get that progress moving. We can go and suck these drones back in because, like I said, they're not going to do a whole lot with these battleships. That's what I try to do on this first pocket, is just destroy everything that is already spawned, and then kind of repair yourself a little bit, or like kind of get caught back up, reload, all that, then attack the control tower. Once the control tower is down, just the other spawn will trigger, and then just take them down and everything. There is a diamond tag in here that drops from like a random NPC, I'm pretty sure, that allows you to get through the locked gate. So in the future, you can just kind of like blitz this and just go and kind of skip this first pocket. If I was in any other ship, I would probably go ahead and look for that diamond tag, but not necessarily interested in that because it's easy enough to destroy the control tower. A few more volleys in the air with these. Now they're starting to drop. Then we're just going to start assigning launchers. Once this guy drops, we'll probably put him on the newest one since it has the most health. And then once the other one drops, we'll go 2 and 2. Take it down. But I guess, we'll talk a little bit more about like the suitcasing strategy. It's something I wanted to cover like earlier in this series, but it definitely requires you to have quite a bit of skills as far as flying like a Rio or a Rourke. And you don't necessarily have to like, if you have the skills just enough to like sit in the ship and then, put some skills into actually like the jump range and kind of the jump skills and the fuel and stuff like that. It's really what you need, right? Because you're essentially using that ship as just a suitcase, so to allow you to move things around easily. And you don't, if you're setting up in null, whether you're renting or sub-renting or whatever the case may be, or you're hanging out with your alliance or corporation, you're probably not going to change systems that much. There are a lot of corporations that run multiple systems. They'll have a routing system and then industry system, and things like that. So it really kind of just depends on how much you're having to move around for your day-to-day operations. But for me in general, I prefer just like kind of having the ability to leave at any given moment, right? Being able to just pack up everything and move systems, or if I'm going to take like a break from Eve or something like that, pack everything up, take all my stuff to like a safer, more, long-term, storage solution, and just kind of, bug out essentially that way. That just makes that whole like interaction a little bit more interesting. It allows me to kind of control my spending as far as like buying too many ships, things that I'm not going to need, keeping things, as basic as possible. I really don't like keeping assets that I'm not using. A lot of like my export I did to Jita last week was actually just trimming down some of the extra stuff that I didn't need that I brought out to null, along with selling the export. And so just kind of getting a little bit more, high speed, low drag, essentially. All right. Second pocket. We get all the things turned on. We're a little far out. Actually, what we're going to do is we're kind of far out for all this. We're going to go throw this other range script on. See what that does for, okay, 122. We can get a few of these things. So we're going to be just like looking at anything that we can get in range from where we are right now, so we don't have to move too much. This station is one thing we're going to have to worry about. It's going to have an EM. It's going to do quite a bit of damage. And so we're going to just try to take away everything off the field as we can. Starting with these sentry towers. And then we'll essentially... Well, I'm not really worried too much about the frigates. I'm going to let them close in a little bit more. Once these 4 towers are down, we'll probably start working on all these battleships and battle cruisers. We got 3, 6, 7, 9, 10. Yeah, these battle cruisers targeted up. Rotate my camera so we can see these target UIs a little bit easier. I'm gonna cancel the target on all those frigates, because they're gonna continue to come at me anyway. So I prefer to get these battleships kind of out of the way. That way we can start working on 4 battleships. So there's 8 battleships and then 6 frigates. We're going to target 2 of these frigates. All the frigates are red boxing me right now, so once we actually get target lock, I'm going to release drones to start taking care of some of these frigates that are inbound. Since they're red boxing me, that means, they're going to switch target to the drones anyway. We'll probably lose a couple drones. They're not really doing any damage to me either, so it's like not really in a hurry, but if I can get some of these frigates down right now, that'll be great. Gonna keep an eye on their health a little bit. How far we are from... I think the EM bomb range on this station is like 80k, but shouldn't be anything to worry about.
A module has run out of charges.
Excuse me. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm splitting my time a little bit. We're working on these battleships. And then as they drop, we'll pick up more frigate targets. And then we're just going to work on the frigates with the drones until we can put launchers on them. We also just kind of got caught in the middle of a reload cycle too, so... We can also use the micro jump drive to get further away from the station, so we don't worry about the EM. But Not entirely sure that's completely necessary. Unrated sites are a little bit more time consuming and less straightforward than rated sites, just because of like different game mechanics and things like that, like keys and um, structures and other things like that. And on target lock on a frigate, we can go put everybody on this guy. So far, the drones are doing all right. We'll go ahead and finish off this frigate. They got so close and just kind of stopped. The chances are by the time we get these battleships down, the frigates will be taken care of as well. Then we might come out of Bastion, and then, you know, we need to move about 20k. What are we, 65? 66? So, we need to move a little further away from the station. Like 14. I want to be over 80. I want to see if it actually hits me if I'm above 80k. If we're using javelins, then we won't necessarily have to worry about a range issue, because we run double script for range right now, so we're 122. We can go out quite a bit. Alright, frigates are down. We're going to go ahead and bring in these drones because they're not going to do a whole lot. And I think we're going to cut Bastion here, just so we can start moving back. We essentially want... I want to see about 81k. We might be close once we get these battleships down. 104 range without Bastion. But these pit battleships are, you know, tanky as heck. Alright, we have about 10k for we're kind of where we want to be at. We'll let our cap kind of recharge a little bit too before we start attacking the structure, just in case we have to. It does like 4,000 EM damage on that smart bomb.
A module has run out of charges.
That'll launch her up. $76 about 4k, and we can mess with it. Once I see 81 on the structure, I'm just going to bash it back up, because that's really all I'm trying to test here, is just if there's a range on this thing. I really want to like get all my launchers lined back up as far as ammo goes. These cascading reload cycles are annoying.
A module has run out of charges.
80. Need another kilometer. 81 from Bastion. That should give us the firepower we need to finish these battleships off. Repping pretty hardcore too. So let's launch on him, because he's got a little bit more armor left than the other ones. Another reason our damage is a little bit lower too is we're not running a precision script, we're running double range. So that's a lot of what is going on here. Definitely gonna try to like line up all these launchers though before we do this structure part. We get all these reloaded. We're turning off the hardener and all the ranges. That way we can just We're going to bring some cap up. Probably about 50% before we kind of go at this. And we are at 82K. It'll probably still hit us. Like, a lot of documentation for a lot of these unrated sites is pretty outdated. So regardless of being 81, I think the old range was probably like 80K. So we're probably going to still get hit with about 4,000 EM. Once we start going through it. All right, so the way this phase works is essentially we're going to be attacking the structure. At 30% hull, it'll spawn a reinforcement, which will be like 4 frigates and potentially the commander. If we don't get the commander, then we'll basically we get the escalation. What I'm going to do now is I'm running javelins with 2 precision scripts. This allows me to get 91 kilometers, and we're 82 away, so that'll be fine. We're essentially just going to be pumping as much as we can in this thing and get to where we're down to 30% and get that reinforcement. I still did get, whenever I didn't have the video recording at the time, but whenever I did initially hit the structure, I still got the EM burst even at 82K. So I think that there's really no range limitation for that. So be prepared. If you're running a golem, it's fine. You know, I essentially repaired the damage from that EM smart bomb from like a couple of reps. As you can see here, we're burning through this structure pretty fast with these javelins. Right now it's at 59, 54 armor. I think we actually get reinforcements at 30% structure, which we might be able to get there. What's probably going to happen is we're probably going to do a reload cycle right before or right at the reinforcement marker, which is fine. There's not a lot of spawns in the reinforcement anyway. We're about to get into hull as well, or structure on this, with about 11 rounds left on the launcher. We already have missiles in the air to bring it to structure. The structure is really tanky on it, so it's going to take a little bit on that. We might actually get a reload cycle before we get down to 30%. We're at about 90 right now. My goal is to like get reloaded before the reinforcements. There's another one of these in this system. I don't know if I'm going to run it today. It's really going to depend on, like, I'll probably run it anyway today, but probably not, you know, for recording. Just trying to do this to give you guys an idea of what this looks like. Now we're on reload. And we got the last volley going in, which will probably put us around 60%. Go ahead and get these launchers back on. I'm just hoping I don't get the escalation because I'm not really interested in it. I'd rather see what faction modules I can pull out of it. It's kind of more interesting for me. Let's see where we're at right now. 51. Obviously, you don't want to run like booster or anything while you're doing this if you're not being attacked. Just to, like, that's allowing us our cap to get, you know, back up to a healthy amount, just in case we need to. We'll probably have to let the reinforcements close on us a little bit, just so we can, you know, get the, if we get the Dragoreista commander, we can get him in tractor beam range. Doesn't look like we got him. Looks like we just got the escalation, probably. We're going to keep guns on. Let these guys kind of close a little bit. We're just going to go and get rid of the structure. And now we're just going to divide all the power up. Yep, see, we got the escalation, which is unfortunate, but allowed you guys to see kind of what the thing looks like. And in that case, you know, if you don't get the escalation, you'll get a Dragoreista as commander, and you know he'll drop a faction module out there. But you know, I don't know what the actual percentage rate is on that, but I've seen them like a couple times. But I've also gotten the escalation. It's like probably closer to 50-50. I don't know. Now we're going to turn our booster on and just kind of maintain damage control while we work on all this. These frigates are going to close in on us, but we'll wait till they get a little closer, then we can let the drones kind of mess with them a little bit. These battleships are repping pretty hard, so we're probably going to end up having to have a couple of, because they're pith, they're, you know, a little bit stronger than normal. We also hit a reload cycle too, so we'll get all these. We might actually just try to like take the non-battleships down just to get some stuff off the field. Start with these cruisers and these frigates. Get a launcher on this cruiser. Should have nothing but battleships left now after these 3 targets. Now we're just gonna start reapplying the launchers to battleships. And once all these are down, then everything's good to go. It'll despawn. It's actually already despawned. Once you destroy this structure, the warpable goes away. So that what I'll do is I'll remove my bookmark from that. Bookmark management, super important. Get that cruiser down. Get the other launcher up. These are actually Raven class. Like they're repping pretty hardcore. But you have a difficult time getting them down, then we can just, you know, like I said, we can just turn off all these launchers, right? And then just go full on 4 to each. 4 to like 3 to 4 volleys will essentially, yeah, knock them out. This could be a little bit faster way of doing it. It's really kind of depending on like how much of a hurry you're in. We'll get these last 4 targets down, and we'll call it there. Not really a whole lot else going on in this combat site, but hopefully this video gives you some ideas about how to manage your logistics and kind of what to expect from different like unrated sites. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.